A bit more analysis now with France 24's Philip Turle, who joins me on set. And Philip, it seems we're still very far away from a real deal.
I think we are nowhere near, Jeannie, what Donald Trump wants, and that is a 30-day ceasefire between the two sides and an end to all hostilities. What we've got here is a very lukewarm agreement, put it lightly, between Ukraine and Russia to stop clashes in the Black Sea. But this is far away from the front line, and there's a feeling definitely, I think, in Ukrainian circles and amongst the Europeans that what Russia is doing is trying to buy time and pandering towards Donald Trump. Donald Trump, who's seen himself as the kingmaker, the man who's going to end the war in Ukraine. Remember, he said he was going to do it in 24 hours originally before he became president again back in January. It's turning out to be a very long, complicated, hard slog for the US president. And we're nowhere any closer to that ceasefire agreement, basically because every time there is some advance, there seems to be another hindrance coming along. Russia wants more sanctions lifted, which is what they're calling for here. It wants to be admitted back into the European banking system, the SWIFT system. It is refusing to end its offensive on the ground in Ukraine. And while that is still carrying on, because it believes it has more to gain in that offensive, we're not any closer to an end to the hostilities.
So, Philip, tonight, the Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky, is going to be in Paris. He's going to have dinner with Emmanuel Macron ahead of a summit with Europe on Ukraine tomorrow. What kind of leverage does Europe have at this moment to move things forward for Ukraine?
I think there is a feeling in Europe that they can't sit back with their arms folded and just let the Americans be in charge of trying to find a solution to the war in Ukraine. Remember that the Americans have been holding these negotiations in Saudi Arabia, first of all with the Ukrainians, then with the Russians, but the Russians and the Ukrainians haven't met across the table to discuss face-to-face what is going on. There's been no talks between Volodymyr Zelensky and Vladimir Putin with Donald Trump, which I think many would say would be the only way to try to hammer out some kind of an agreement. So Europe sees a window of opportunity to try to increase its ability to intervene in this conflict, first of all, with this coalition of the willing, these 30 European countries or so, who are discussing how they could set up a peacekeeping force to be sent to Ukraine. It only appears so far that Britain and France are willing to contribute a ground force to that peacekeeping force in Ukraine. But that will be the centre of discussions that's going to take place tonight with Volodymyr Zelensky in Paris, and then tomorrow when other heads of state will be arriving in the French capital to take part in these discussions. The third round of discussions, one in February, one early in March, and now this round again for the second time in Paris. The last one's taking place in London. So there definitely is movement on the European point of view, but there's still the problems are the same. That's to say, Russia is refusing to let these peacekeepers into Ukraine and to allow them to operate there. There's still a question mark over whether the US would bring in air support to help them. And the third point is, well, the mission, what they'll be carrying out when they get on the ground, remains unclear. So that is also another subject to be discussed.
Philip, thank you for that. France 24's Philip Turle.